Today on Ian vs. Daddybones, we're talking about paying off my Eternia crowdfund.
Oh boy, kids, we're gonna have fun today!
Yay! Hey! Alright!
How is everyone doing tonight?
Hey! Alright!
How is everyone doing tonight?
Hey! Alright!
How is everyone doing tonight?
Hey! Alright!
Epic roast.
Welcome back! It's another exciting episode of Ian vs. Daddybones. I am Ian Daddybones. Say what's up to everybody watching the show right now. I don't care if it's on fucking Facebook. I don't care if you're watching on YouTube right now. Hi everybody. I would appreciate your interaction. Leave a comment. Smash that fucking share button. Help me boost my numbers. I'd appreciate all your help. To all the Patreon subscribers, you know, y'all always get your special high five and a nut tap for throwing me $1 to $5 a month to get your name in the credits, get access to the bonus content, and I got double thumbs up for everybody who subscribed to get access to the Original Geeks fucking podcast. I appreciate and love all of you. Thank you very much for your support. To everybody else, I seriously need y'all to get in the fucking wagon and jump on board already, because at this point, we are almost getting ready for the 1 year anniversary of Ian vs. Daddybones. I know I threw up two fingers there or whatnot, but I guess basically like goalposts were scoring a fucking touchdown or a field goal, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't watch fucking baseball. I buy fucking toys. But I want to say today I am in celebration mode. I am fucking very excited. I feel accomplished. I set a goal a year ago when I started Ian vs. Daddybones, after spending a year, going on a year and a half of collecting and buying the toys that caught my attention. Like, as you can see here, the Masters of the Universe Origins collection is what started all of this, because this whole thing, this whole purpose of me buying this line is I'm reobtaining my favorite toys that I had as a child that I lost, that now I'm gaining back, and now it's pretty fucking cool because I get to share stories about it and whatnot with my kids and show them to my the cartoons and whatnot and tell them all about it. My kids don't fucking care, but I do, and it's fucking awesome. And you know, a year ago when I started Ian vs. Daddybones, I launched the Patreon. You know, that's been like my main focus with doing the show, is running the Patreon, because I got the, you know, the lowest level buy-in to show support for the show of $1, and for the $1, I figured I'd give the people that are supporting the brand, I give you a shout out in the end credits, and I do some, like, you know, B-roll footage bonus content that I'd put exclusively on the Patreon for the subscribers to check out. So, you know, that was my, you know, initial plan when I created the Patreon to start it off, you know. You're willing to give me $1 a month, this is what I have to offer you as my way of saying thanks, with the bonus content and the shout out. And, you know, that's leveled up to now I have a second show that's being added. But what I'm getting at is, when I started the Patreon, you know, Patreon's like, well, what are your goals? And to be dead ass honest, like, the whole thing was a process. You know what I mean? Like, it was me buying these toys while at the same time being stuck in a creative slump, because the way my last podcast ended, and if you look at the original incarnation of the Original Geeks podcast, after I pulled the plug on that in 2016 for what was supposed to be my next big thing, that wound up being a complete disaster and a waste of my fucking time, you know, that really had me pissed off and angry, you know, at situations, at people, for a couple of years, and I just let it fester because I feel like I got fucked over, abandoned, and discarded. And at the end of the day, it wound up costing me my podcast, and I didn't fucking do anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're damn right I'm going to be pissed off about it. Especially when it gets to a point to where it involves people. And then you have mutual friends outside of people that you have disagreements with, and you know how people are always known to be people. They hear one thing and then they don't know the reality of what's really going on type shit. So it's just been a fucking cesspool of combination of like what the fuck for a couple of years after the last projects fell through. And it's like, in my head, I was like, I could always go back to the Original Geeks podcast. It's what I did before. It's what worked before. Because with the original version of the Original Geeks podcast from like 2007 to like 2015, at like my height, we were syndicated in like 26 countries through like iTunes and whatnot. You know what I mean? Before, you know, Spotify was a thing and whatnot. And, you know, so like, you know, for being just a local dickhead from Binghamton that has his podcast where he's talking about video games and movies and TV shows and whatnot, you know, having over 150,000 listeners worldwide and being syndicated in over 26 countries wasn't fucking bad, you know what I mean? It's not like I had like 2005 fucking Soulja Boy numbers, you know what I mean? I was doing pretty well for myself and I was happy with it, you know what I mean? But like, once that show went, once shit went south, and I'm like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I thought I could always go back to the Original Geeks podcast, but at the same time I didn't want to feel like I was rehashing the same old bullshit, you know what I mean? And I wanted to do something new, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, and you know, you look to the internet for inspiration and shit. And it doesn't matter if, like, you know, you're in a gym working out, taking videos and offering advice, or if, like, you're fucking painting or what, you know what I mean? People have their content that they create, and I know what I enjoyed watching, and, you know, I've been seeing people open toys for years, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what kind of toy it is, whether it's a Barbie, whether it's vintage, whether it's something new, whether it's Hot Wheels, whether it's fucking WWE, you know what I mean? And there's all sorts of YouTube channels that are all about collecting toys, you know? I mean, there's no way I can't deny that a lot of other YouTube channels that have shows about opening toys, and I'll throw it right out there. Like, I watch the fuck out of Toy Habits. I watch the fuck out of the Major Wrestling Figures podcast. I watch the fuck out of Pixel Dan shit. You know what I mean? I'm all about it. Spectre Creative, watching his stuff, and you know, I really dig what I dig when it comes to like the toy collecting videos. And there's other channels too, like when it comes to like, you know, fucking, you know, other franchises and brands. You know, there's Thundercats channels, there's Ninja Turtles channels and whatnot. So there's so much stuff out there. But like for me, you know, the Pixel Dan stuff in like Toy Habits, like it really hit home with me because these guys are talking about Masters of the Universe Origins, and this is like, oh my god, I'm all about this right now because I fucking loved this shit when I was a kid. So it's like a lot of my excitement in like every time I get something new in the mail, it's every time I open a box, it's like Christmas fucking morning. You know what I mean? Every time I film an episode of the show, it's like Christmas fucking morning. I mean, that's why I got fucking Christmas lights still up, and it's fucking, you know, the beginning of September. It's fucking Labor Day. But basically, you know, I'm getting back all my favorite toys that I had as a kid, and then it's like I'm going balls to the fucking wall with this shit. You know what I mean? I'm like grinding this fucking line. I'm trying to grab everything that I can and whatnot, and yeah, I'm having a fucking blast with it. So basically, you know, I wasn't gonna make it a podcast about just Masters of the Universe, but I could make it a podcast about me collecting toys for what I find interesting and fascinating and what I want to buy, and then hopefully other people that share similar interests or just find it interesting in general want to start watching the show. You know, that's what I was going for. But over the course of collecting Masters of the Universe Origins for the past 2.5 years, you know, they put out Castle Grayskull, you know, they put out, at this point, I'd like to say, I think it's fair to say, they have put out 80% of the vintage toy line when it just comes to the figures. but there's also a good, I'd say, 7% of figures that are in this Origins line that never got made back in the 80s. So there's a lot of brand new figures that are part of this Origins line that are brand new in today's world, and that's fucking awesome and a lot of fun. But like, they put out the figures, you know, they put out Castle Grayskull, you know, Battle Cat, you know, Panther, you know, some of the vehicles like the Wind Raider and the Land Shark and the Roton and Stridor, the fucking mechanical horse and shit. Like, they've put out so much stuff so far, but then, like, this all goes back to like a year ago, July of 2022. Like, it was literally rolling into a weekend where the week of Monday rolling into Friday, it was Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con. So with me buying Masters of the Universe and being aware of everything going on in the Masters of the Universe toy collecting scene right now, like rolling into Comic-Con on like message boards and Facebook groups and shit, people were speculating what Mattel was going to show off at Comic-Con, and then Comic-Con happened, and Mattel unveiled a display for Eternia. And everybody's mind was fucking blown, right? Because here it is in 2022, the summer of 2022, San Diego Comic-Con. Mattel's got their big-ass glass display case with everything set strategically in place to build this epic battle scene showing all this stuff. So like all these new figures were a part of this scene. Eternia was front and center, and it just, holy shit, it blew everybody's mind, because you're like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on right now? What the fuck is going on right now? Like, when is this stuff coming out? What's going on with Eternia? So Mattel basically pulled a WandaVision at Comic-Con. When anybody was asking questions about Eternia, everybody was like, please stand by. Please stand by. So, like, they had no information to give out other than showing it off and revealing it to the public for the first time. So, going on with no information, rolling into the following week was when Mattel made an announcement and said that Eternia is going to be coming. And as it turned out, Eternia was going to be a Mattel Creations crowdfund. Eternia was not going to be available in stores. They're not putting it in Walmart. They're not putting it in Target. They're not putting it in fucking... they're not putting it in Best Buy. They're not putting it in fucking Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. It's not going to retail. The only way you're getting Eternia is if you jump on this fucking crowdfund. And the way it works is simple. Once the crowdfund started, and it started in... I want to say it started in October of 2022. I believe it ended in November of 2022. Or maybe it went from November to December. I'm pretty sure it went October to November, so it didn't cut into like the holiday shopping season. Even though for everybody who crowdfunded it, it totally fucking affected your holiday shopping season. At least I feel after, I reveal some more information. So they basically revealed it's going to be a crowdfund, and where they're going to have 30 days to raise the money needed to put Eternia into production and make it a reality. So Mattel was like, this is what's going on. We got Eternia, this massive gigantic play set that is 3 feet tall, 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep. You know what I mean? Like, the only place I'm going to be able to set Eternia in my fucking house is if I get a goddamn, like, big-ass fucking table-like area. You know what I mean? It's going to be a challenge. But I'm jumping the shark. Not jumping the shark. I'm jumping ahead. But, basically, they're like, Eternia, okay, it was this 1986 playset that Mattel released that, like I said, in size, it's 4 feet. It's 4 feet wide, 2 feet deep, 3 feet tall, fucking gigantic. And what it was 3 towers connected by a monorail, so it had suspended tracks, And with the one tower on the, like, if you're looking at it, on the left tower is Grayskull Tower. It's made out of the green rock, you know, like Castle Grayskull. On the right, you have Viper Tower, which has a red snake, you know, adorned on top of this fucking tower. And then in the center, you have Central Tower, which is the tallest tower of the fucking playset. It's got this gigantic lion's head on the front of it that has an opening and closing jaw. It kind of reminds me of the Cave of Wonders from the animated Aladdin movie. And it also has these lion's paws in front of it. So you can use the action feature mechanism to, like, make the arms cross and, like, grab Skeletor or whoever the fuck is standing on the drawbridge in front of the damn thing. You know what I mean? It's this beautiful, gorgeous fucking playset. And the reality is, for me, I only remember seeing it once in the wild when I was a kid. Like I said, it originally came out in 1986, and I remember the day. It was Christmas Eve, 1987. I was out with my dad, my Uncle Mike, and I believe my Uncle Steve was there. I could have been with just my dad and my one uncle, or I was with my dad with my two uncles. But either way, I was with my dad and my uncle, and it was Christmas Eve, and we were going all over the city of Binghamton, you know, from like different Kmart's and whatnot, and basically they were in Homer Simpson mode, and they were last minute Christmas shopping. And I remember we went to like Kmart's, and then I remember at one point we went to Boscov's. And when we went to Boscov's, I remember we were down in Boscov's basement, and in our Boscov's, which is in an old ass clothing store that used to exist in like the 70s and whatnot in Binghamton. But Boscov's toy department's in the basement. So I remember while I was walking with my dad and my uncles, where I was just tagging along as a fucking 8-year-old kid, I remember we were walking around the basement of Boscov's, happened to pass the toys, and I remember seeing the Eternia box on retail, because I remember the lion head sticking out like a sore thumb, and I remember reading that it said Eternia on the box, and I remember being absolutely confused and dumbfounded, because to me, from watching the cartoon and playing with my toys and shit, I always associated Eternia as the planet, and to break it down smaller, I think of the city of Eternos, where like the royal palace was. So when I saw these 3 towers in this monorail on the box when I was a kid, completely threw me off, because I never saw it in the cartoon before. I don't know what the hell this is, but I got the impression that they were trying to present this as like the royal castle or whatnot. I mean, back then I was 8, I didn't know what the fuck it was. And it's funny because my mom used to buy me the Masters of the Universe magazine in grocery stores. So like I remember flipping through Masters of the Universe magazine and seeing pictures of Eternia in like some of the, you know, colorful art pinups and posters and shit. But I guess I never put it together that it was going to be a playset that was coming to stores. I thought it was just Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, Fright Zone, Slime Pit. Those were the play sets. I had no idea this thing really existed in physical form until I saw it that one time when I was a kid at Boscov's, downtown Binghamton, Christmas Eve, 87, when I was with my pops and my uncles, and they were getting last minute Christmas gifts. But, so, that's the one time I remember seeing it as a kid. And then, over the course of growing up in my life, especially through my 20s and 30s, the only time I've ever really seen or got reacquainted with Eternia was when somebody's on eBay either selling a complete Eternia for a shit ton of cash, or they're selling like an incomplete, half-broken Eternia for a shit ton of cash, because scalpers are fucking ridiculous, you know what I mean? And I totally get it. But yeah, it was definitely considered a holy grail of the Masters of the Universe vintage line. So when Mattel announced last year that not only was Eternia coming back for the 40th anniversary, but the fact that it wasn't coming to stores this time, it was only available through the crowdfund, I was so excited to want to jump on board with it. And I know for the purpose of like the summer, because like when I found out about it and I was really, and when it was first on my mind, was a weekend my wife and I were taking the kids to Knobel's theme park and, you know, to have a family fun day. And, you know, it was a wonderful time. And, you know, I was just thinking about Eternia that whole fucking weekend. Like, oh my God, when are they going to say something? When's it coming out? What the hell? You know what I mean? Whole bunch of questions and question marks that were eventually going to get answered. So basically, then they said the crowdfund was going to start, and a lot of people were speculating the price. Well, how much are they going to sell this fucking thing for? And then other experts, and by experts I mean other people who have conducted past business with Mattel Creations, have plenty of experience participating in crowdfunds and whatnot. And the way they break it down, and even from my own knowledge of what I've known firsthand. Like, for example, I have a buddy of mine named Jay. Jay has assisted me with getting some Mattel Creations figures over the course of the past year. Jay has also participated in a Mattel crowdfund for the WWE New Generation ring that came with like the Elite ring that based on the WWE 90s New Generation ring, and it came with the light up entrance door, and it came with like a bunch of bonus figures if they hit all their tiers for the crowdfund. So it was like a $400 package for like this ring, this entrance set, or maybe it was $500 even. But either way, it was the ring, it was the entrance set, it was the 4 figures, like Diesel, Randy Savage, Doink the Clown, Dink the Clown. They were only available in this box set. They gave you a, you know, it was gorgeous. Like, he wound up jumping on it, and I found out like you have the option of paying in full. And they do have some payment options, which, when the time came and Mattel revealed the price for Eternia, $550. They wanted $550 for Eternia, and as soon as Amber heard the price, my wife was like, no, thumbs down, absolutely not. We do not have $550 to drop on this all at once. There's no way we can make it work. And honestly, I did consider throwing in the towel and considering it, you know, a defeated attempt and wishful thinking of, you know, it fucking sucks, you know, I wish I could jump on Eternia and whatnot. So the crowdfund started, they had 30 days, so you had week 1, and they had a first week backer bonus where if you backed Eternia as a bonus for being a week 1 backer, they're going to include the Origins King Grayskull figure. Right? So, and by backing, and like basically what it is the way the crowdfund works is they show you the item, they give you the price, and it's basically they need to sell a minimum of 5,000 just to get it made, right? So it's like, okay, the crowdfund, our goal is we need to sell 5,000 Eternias to greenlight it across the board for all the backers to guarantee that Eternia is going to be made and go into production. King Grayskull is exclusive as a week 1 backer bonus. Now, my numbers are going to be off, but I'm just doing it as an example. But like, they were like, okay, we have a second tier goal where if we hit 7,000, we're going to include a figure of the Moat Monster, who the internet has dubbed Modi, who is on my shirt, as you can see. And I want to give a special shout out to Big Drew Graphics. Thank you very much, Big Drew, for making me this Modi shirt to celebrate what I'm going to continue talking about. This wonderful occasion, complete with his seal of approval. Big Drew Graphics, go check it out. But I got Modi on the shirt, and they're like, if we hit 7,000, or maybe it was 6,000, we're gonna unlock the Moat Monster. Now, Modi never came with the original Eternia. He was basically a creature that was basically sculpted on the base of the central tower, so he was like a little creature that didn't exist, but because he was an Easter egg on the vintage set, they decided to make him an actual articulated creature that lives in the moat of Eternia. So if they hit like 6,000, they unlock, or maybe it was 7,000. They hit 7,000, you unlock Modi, and then I believe the goal was, or maybe it was 7,000, because then it was like if they hit 10,000, they unlocked a character named Keyclar. Keyclar was an old man with like a blue pope hat and blue pope robes, and basically Keyclar was one of the Eternian elders, because the story was in pre-Eternia, when the towers were first risen, and when the towers were originally standing was when King Grayskull and Hero and the pre-Eternian Masters were at war with the Snake Men, but then the Eternian Elders banished the Snake Men along with the towers, which drove them underground. And now that the Snake Men are back, which is what all of this on the table's about right now, this is all the new shit that finally started showing up on some of my pre-orders, like the Diabolical Snake Invasion. I got Skeleton Warriors, Snake Face, and I got Tila and Zor, Skeletor and Screech. I'm going to be talking about those guys next week. But like everything about Masters of the Universe right now has been focused for the past year on the rise of the Snake Men. So with the Snake Men being back, Eternia is back, and it's fucking amazing. If you're a huge fan of Masters of the Universe like I am, it's absolutely fucking amazing right now. It's like Dirty Dancing. I am having the time of my life. And that's the thing. You had Keyclar represents the elders, and the thing is, if they sold 10,000, you got Eternia, the Moat Monster, Keyclar, King Grayskull if you backed Eternia in the first week, but then they made a last minute adjustment. They called an audible during the last week of the crowdfund and basically said, hey, gonna let everybody know that if we hit 10,000, not only are you gonna get Keyclar, but everybody's gonna get King Grayskull, which had all the first week backers be like, oh, that's bullshit and fucked up and wah. And it's like, come on, seriously, dude, show us on fucking Sunman who hurt you. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But the complete package had the Moat Monster, the 2 figures, and the Eternia playset. At the end of the day, they were like 700 short from hitting the 10,000 goal. However, Eternia was a success, is being funded, will include the Moat Monster, will include King Grayskull if you're a first week backer, and I can officially say that as of last week, I made my final payment on my Eternia. So I can officially take all my fucking anxiety that I've had for the past fucking year, crumple that shit into a ball, throw that fucking shit, and just be done with it. Because that's what my first goal was when it comes to Patreon. And Patreon's like, well, what is your goal? And I'm like, well, I want to crowdfund this overpriced Masters of the Universe playset. And honestly, I want the general public to fucking play for it. I want all of y'all to buy me this huge fucking toy. And that was my fucking goal. But the reality of the situation is, the Patreon slowly grew. I made my payments monthly, taking care of this thing, because that's what I wound up doing. You know what I mean? And that's what's been driving my wife nuts about it, because Amber's like, we don't have $500 to put down on it to take care of it in one shot. It's not doable. Understandable. She told me we don't have $550 for this playset. However, she didn't tell me I wasn't able to find a way to make it work. And by making it work, I wound up using Shop Pay, which wound up splitting it into 12 payments over the course of the year. So I basically crowdfunded Eternia for $47 monthly payments. So, you know, you look at like streamable medias and shit like Netflix and Hulu and fucking Disney Plus and all that shit, and if you cut down on that and frickin', you know what I mean, you rotate what you're watching and shit, you know what I mean? I made some sacrifices and cut some corners, and at the end of the day, I was able to cut my Eternia cost into 12 pieces, and every month I took a bite and ate that piece, and at the end of the day, I finished my fucking plate, and victory! Goal accomplished, and yeah, I officially have Eternia, and it's going to ship in the spring of 2024, even though there's rumors going around the internet that it might be shipping sooner, possibly during the holiday season, but that's not confirmed, not denied. It's purely speculation. Because honestly, at the center of it all, you have the Eternia playset. It literally is the fucking holy grail of the toy line. You know what I mean? It's like there's epic play sets. You know what I mean? Like G.I. Joe had the fucking, what was it, the USS Flag, that giant aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? That thing was fucking gigantic. Like even before Eternia existed, like Castle Grayskull was an iconic play set. You know, you look at Ninja Turtles and, you know, 90s kids with Ninja Turtles, and you got the Technodrome. You know, you got the Sewer Layer play set. You know, if you're a girl, you got Barbie's Dream House. And I'm not discriminating. If you're a gay guy, you also have Barbie's Dream House. It's cool. But everybody's having fun. And that's the thing. Like, you know, to me it's not just a play set. To me it's a fucking investment opportunity. I don't even plan on flipping it, you know what I mean? Because I know some people bought Eternia just for the purpose of, you know, going the scalper route and throwing it on the internet and seeing how high they can get it to go. But at the end of the day, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, this is my midlife crisis. This is my midlife crisis. This is me buying a Ferrari. Not that I really am having a midlife crisis. I mean, let's just put it this way. In the amount of time that Masters of the Universe Origins started, and I bought my first He-Man and Skeletor that kicked off all of this, that I saw in Walmart. Like, when I bought the two of them, the pandemic was just starting. You know what I mean? So, over the course of me collecting this line, went from the pandemic starting to starting to work out and better myself. Then my best friend died. And then I continued buying toys, was drinking more than usual, and I was getting really down in the dumps about not having Pete. You know what I mean? And then I stopped drinking last year, and honestly, as of today, I can say I haven't had any alcohol in 20 months. So I'm fucking killing it right now, and special shout out to Rob Cook, aka IB Green, because he is also fucking killing it right now and celebrating month number 20. So thumbs up to both of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. I declare thumb war. But just when you thought it was over. No, I can't segue into that yet. Going back. Like I said, like, Pete died, I stopped drinking, it's been 20 months, but like over the course of not drinking, I stuck with my workouts, I stayed buying toys, you know what I mean, and then, you know, it goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, you know what I mean, I wanted to do something different, but I didn't want to rehash the old shit, and then I started the show, and then I started the Patreon, and started, you know, they asked me, you know, what's the goal you want to set? And you know, being a smart ass, you know, I want to pay off this Eternia crowdfund, you know, and over the course of the past 10 months, you know, whether it was me making payments Patreon supporters making contributions. And that's the thing too. Like, I got people supporting me that aren't even subscribed to the Patreon, but that doesn't mean that they're not showing support. Like, I got people that have been hooking me up and helping me out, like hitting up the Cash App and whatnot. And you know, y'all are the ninjas, because I don't get the regular updates like that on my phone from like Cash App whenever somebody sends me money. I should probably turn those notifications on. But sometimes I'll just check my Cash App and be like, oh, I got $20 in my Cash App. Where the fuck that come from? And then fucking go and check and be like, oh shit. And then send so-and-so a message, be like, hey man, I fucking suck at getting notifications, but thanks for the $20 you threw me on blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, with the Patreon money, like, this whole thing's been a journey for the past 10 months. The reality is, I've been taking care of Eternia. Eternia is good. Eternia is paid off. When it comes to, like, all my supporters and anything that any dime that I made off this show over the course of the past 10, 11 months, went right back into the show. It went right back into my external hard drive that I updated back in the winter. It upgraded and got me these fucking lamps right here. It upgraded my fucking ring cams. You know what I mean? It helped me in a lot of ways when it comes to keeping it going with Ian versus Daddybones. Sometimes the Patreon money actually assisted in paying off a pre-order. You know, and speaking of pre-orders, that's another thing I could talk about real quick that I'm really excited about, because now that we're in September, oh, and by the way, in case you didn't notice, at this point in the show, I'm not opening this week. This is just an Eternia, holy fuck, we paid it off episode, so I'm just running my mouth today. But speaking of pre-orders, like as I was saying, like, I've had pre-order stuff arrive, like Skeletor and Screech and Snakeface. These guys showed up in July, but my Diabolical Snake Invasion and the Skeleton Warriors just showed up last week. And also, well, now these showed up like 2 weeks ago, but I shipped them out last week. But speaking of last week, I've been spending all this time talking about paying off Eternia, but Snake Mountain finally fucking arrived last week. Now, I pre-ordered Snake Mountain like back in March. So I've been waiting months for Snake Mountain to get released. And I can, you know, between paying off the Eternia crowdfund, looking at Castle Grayskull, and now that Snake Mountain's going to be there soon, you know, I got my setup. I got my setup of my three main play sets in this fucking line, and absolutely fucking ecstatic about it. Now, there's two other play sets that still remain with Masters of the Universe, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, because that's the other epic news that I'm going to round out this episode with. But yeah, I got my September episodes all planned out. I got my October episodes all planned out. We are rolling into the 1 year anniversary show. We got episode 50 of Ian versus Daddybones coming soon. And yeah, I got plenty of plans rolling into the second year of Ian versus Daddybones, and honestly, I'm gonna add some new things. I'm gonna cut back on some things for those that actually do pony up the cash and support the brand. I am gonna say that I am gonna be making some slight changes to Ian versus Daddybones. Not sure exactly what I want to do. I have an idea, but I will let all the Patreon subscribers know in a message that will be sent out to them on the Patreon if anything is going to be altered going forward. But yeah, there may be some changes to the Patreon in year 2, but I do know that I want to try and focus on some more Lego shit. I kind of want to do some card pulls. I just got to figure out what type of cards I want to grab. I've been looking at the recent Garbage Pail Kids that have been coming out, and you know, between WWE and other shit like that, definitely keeping my eyes open to do some card pulls for like Facebook Reels and shit. So year 2's on deck, but yeah, Snake Mountain has officially showed up. And I plan on getting that shipped out this week. So hopefully Snake Mountain will arrive next week. And honestly, as far as everything that I've pre-ordered this year this past winter. Because like I said, a lot of what's on the table right now was pre-ordered at the same time that Snake Mountain was pre-ordered. So all the winter pre-order stuff is starting to show up and whatnot, and I'm really fucking happy about that. Having a wonderful time with this shit. So like I said, these guys are gonna be the focus in next week's episode. And going forward, once Snake Mountain shows up, we're going to be talking about the new Snake Men related Masters of the Universe origin stuff, because this Diabolical Snake Invasion box is going to be fucking sick. But yeah, the Eternia crowdfund is officially over. I mean, it was over with a year ago, but as far as Ian Daddy Bones goes, my Eternia crowdfund is officially over, successful, and yeah. But just when you thought it was over, now I could go back to my segue I was trying to get to like 5 minutes ago. Just when you thought it was over and the crowdfund was done, Mattel makes an announcement last week that says September 5th, which is tomorrow, because right now is fucking Labor Day. September 5th, Mattel is going to announce the next Masters of the Universe crowdfund that is being called Eternia's Choice. Now, this could mean a lot of things. But before I say what it means, I'm going to take a quick piss break. I gotta pee. Alright, back from my pee break. But like I said, the fact that they're calling this Eternia's Choice could mean a lot of different things. Because the reality of the situation is, they just had the Eternia crowdfund, which was a $550 job. So yes, I literally blew PlayStation 5 money on a fucking He-Man playset. But, with that said, Eternia was the biggest fucking playset in the Masters of the Universe vintage toy line. So when it comes to what's being called Eternia's Choice, there's not a lot of big ticket, like, money items that would be worthy of like a $550 crowdfund. But there are two other playsets that never got released in the 80s. Rewind. Let me scratch that. There's two playsets from the 80s that haven't been released in Origins. The Evil Horde Fright Zone and the Evil Horde Slime Pit. Now, I'm thinking Mattel, and this is my prediction. My prediction for this Masters of the Universe crowdfund, for this Eternia's Choice, I think it's going to be the Evil Horde Fright Zone, it's going to be the Evil Horde Slime Pit, and I think in the middle of the two playsets, we're finally going to get Modulok. Modulok, one of the core members of the Evil Horde, who's basically one of the one original Evil Horde member who still hasn't been released in Origins, but he's been teased numerous times on card art for various figures and playsets and vehicles. So Modulok has been one of those longly speculated characters that still hasn't come out yet. So if they do the Slime Pit in the Fright Zone, I could see Modulok being in that crowdfund. Now, in my head, I'm also looking at successful crowdfunds. The WWE New Generation ring. $500, successful. Masters of the Universe Origins Eternia, successful. The WWE WCW Monday Nitro playset, failure. The Jurassic Park 30th anniversary Gates of Jurassic Park that I was talking about a couple episodes back that I was thinking about participating in, failure. So there is a risk with another crowdfund that just because Eternia was successful, and thank God it fucking was at this point, especially looking at everything that has failed as a crowdfund attempt since Eternia's success makes me all the more thankful that I was able to make this fucking work. You know what I mean? I know I've stressed my wife out at times when I was being so determined to make this a reality, because I feel in the long run it's going to make sense years from now when people are when my wife is seeing what people are selling theirs for on eBay and being like, okay, I got it. You know what I mean? So my speculation on this new crowdfund is that it could be the Slime Pit, Fright Zone, Modulock combination. Who knows? They could include like other figures as well, because I know that Extendar, Rio Blast, I believe Rio Blast, and Stondar or Rock-On, one of the Meteor dudes, they were revealed at San Diego Comic-Con. Not much was said about them. Fangor was shown at Comic-Con. He was in Mattel Creations. He already dropped. I already have him. And the second Mattel Creations figure that was shown at Comic-Con was Lady Slither. She actually comes out September 12th, so she's going to drop next week. But nothing has been said about Extendar and the Rock people, right? And maybe I'm wrong on Rio Blast. I think I'm getting Rio Blast in Origins form confused with seeing Rio Blast in the sneak peek clip from Masters of the Universe Revolution. So let's put a question mark on Rio Blast. But either way, between Rock-On and Extendar, I could see those being two characters that are included in this crowdfund, which could make it be successful, because these are two characters who haven't been released in Origins, but to only have them available in the crowdfund may have people jump on it. So what I'm thinking is the Gates of Jurassic, the WCW crowdfund was like a $400 crowdfund. The Gates of Jurassic Park was $250. So I'm looking at it, comparing the Eternia money to other crowdfund money. If they do the Slime Pit and the Fright Zone with a couple of figures, I could see that being a $250 crowdfund. But there's also vehicles like the Battle Ram and the Attack Track or the Bashosaurus that people have been requesting could also be a part of this crowdfund. Nobody's going to know until tomorrow, because like I said, right now it's Labor Day. The news about the crowdfund is going to drop tomorrow. So the next episode of Ian versus Daddybones, I'm going to have more information over what Mattel's going to do and even what I plan on doing, because the reality is Eternia was a chore, but I was able to get it done. In the long run, I made it work. I paid it off. In the reality, it was painless between my wonderful Patreon subscribers and honestly between my child support kickback refund checks that I get every fucking week, which is really how I've been funding the majority of me buying the toys in the first place. For some reason, I had Family Court in 2020 saying, "Hey Ian, good job. You've paid your child support like you were legally obligated to do. Your child is now an adult and living on her own. Guess what? You don't have to pay child support anymore." But for some fucking glitch in the system, they keep taking it out of my paycheck. So every week, I get a child support check with my payroll that I gotta mail to fucking Albany, just so Albany can get the check, cut me a refund check, mail it back to me. So then I get like, I get like a $20 fucking check, $25 check, it varies from New York State. And then I put that in my checking account. And I basically stockpile those child support refund checks, and that's basically what's been funding Ian versus Daddybones. So between what the Patreon subscribers have been high-fiving me with, in addition to that, you know what I mean, I've been handling Eternia. But I can say going forward, whatever this new crowdfund happens to be, I can definitely say that my Patreon subscribers are 100% taking care of this, because we totally got this one, and I'm definitely keeping my fingers crossed that it's the slime pit and the fright zone, because the Evil Horde slime pit I got when I was 7 years old, and it was one of my favorite fucking toys. It's like it was one of my favorite toys, that because that toy was one of my favorite things in the world at one point in my life, I will forever have the fear of God instilled in me to not let slime touch my couch, because my mom would constantly threaten, so help me God, if you get slime on my couch or my carpet. I'm the same way with my kids. The only difference between me when I was a kid and my kids now is now my kids can go on YouTube and learn how to make the slime themselves. Now they know how to make the slime. Back in the day, we were like, Mom, can I get a quarter so I could get slime out of the machine? All sorts of fucking freshness. But I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you for watching Ian versus Daddybones. I am super pumped up, excited. I'm like high-fiving myself, and seriously, like, what a fucking holy grail. Like, 8-year-old inner child me is hugging the shit out of 44-year-old adult me, like, holy shit. We did it. We seriously did it. And with that said, cheers, Pete!
Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, you're stuck cause you never go. Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, you're stuck cause you never go back.
You can't hide and you can't pretend, cause I'll punch you out like Wendy and Glenn. Some things you learn in the school you attend, but the things that I say you can't comprehend.
I ain't no hippie and I ain't no punk. I don't smoke crack and I don't do junk. I'll just sit down and smoke a fat bong, pull out my guitar and sing a fast song. There's your motherfucking American Idol, putting $2 a gallon down the gas hole. 10 million votes for the next asshole. I'll just put on my engineer's hat, sit back and relax while we speed down the tracks. I'll read the book just to spit out the facts.
Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, you're stuck cause you never go back. Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, you're stuck cause you never go back.
Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, get stuck cause you never go. Where will I be when I run out of luck? Get hit by a truck or get stuck on the railroad tracks. When shit goes amok and life starts to suck, you're stuck cause you never go back.
Up your driveway all calm and collective, tripping balls like an underground detective. Need some new shit but my funds are running low. I spend it on weed, true fear and blow. Living life like a cartoon, just flipping the page as I'm staring down the barrel of a 12 gauge. Shotty to the body and it's got me open, shaking so bad I think my legs are broken. I'm choking on the smoke and coughing up the shot, waking up from a dream. These drugs are high. Chasing strychnine with kind and beer with whiskey. Sing a lullaby and I'm sorry you missed me.
You can't hide and you can't pretend, cause I'll punch you out like Wendy and Glenn. Some things you learn in the school you attend, but the things